Hello there, I'm Aldrahill, and this is a very particular kind of challenge video for Victoria 3. I'm going to be building a lot of chairs. The Ottomans might be called the sick man of Europe, but damn do they make a good footstool. That's why I'm taking the Ottomans, and not only turning them into the #1 great power, but I'm also going to be the #1 producer and exporter of luxury furniture, because everyone deserves to have an Ottoman in their home. So pull up a comfy Ottoman chair of your very own, like the video, and subscribe for more Victoria 3 videos and other challenges just like this. Let's build some chairs. The Ottomans are in a pretty hard place at game start, with the sick man of Europe forcing you to complete any 4 of 7 difficult objectives, or be relegated to a footnote of history. Get it? Like the Ottoman thing? While some are basically impossible, like trying to educate 35% more people in only 2 decades, others are pretty easy, like getting to 250 battalions of soldiers. However, the easiest ones to complete are the Reclaiming Syria one, so let's start with that first. I'm using the Victorian Flavor mod, which reduces maneuver cost for return state, so it's possible to take all of your claims in just a single war. First step though, I've got to get line infantry. Ottomans don't start with that tech, and Egypt does, so trying to fight them when the truce timer is up in just 2 years would be an interesting experience. I get pretty lucky here and get a tech spread for line infantry as well, so it gets done super quickly. I'm only really doing one cheeky strat this game, and that is the absolutely broken strategy of the corn laws. Just by setting grain to encourage exports, I get the Corn Laws journal entry, which will eventually give me the event The Modern Conservative. This changes the leader of the pesky landowners faction to a market liberal, meaning he supports both free trade and laissez-faire. This gives me a massive jumpstart, allowing me to start building construction sectors and other industries really quickly. So, after just a couple years of building construction sectors and government administration buildings to fix our bureaucracy problem, I then research Napoleonic warfare, which I again get tech spread for it, which just shows you how far behind technologically we really are. This gives us the best artillery tech possible, making our unit insanely strong against the Egyptian forces. After a little bit of panicked arms industries construction to supply my boys, we attack Egypt and immediately invade behind them. Seeing as all their troops are on the front line, they never see it coming. Now it's time to fix the economy and the country in general. I adopt interventionism instead of laissez-faire because at the moment I have almost no capitalists, and interventionism ensures that my ample aristocrats actually contribute something to the economy, rather than just sitting around on luxury chairs all day doing nothing. Unfortunately, just as I'm getting into the groove of building industry, the Russians attack me for some cars for whatever reason. Don't worry though, the Brits seemingly hate Russia as much as I do, so they join in return for a tasty treaty port. While we battle it out and I sneakily invade St. Petersburg when they're not looking, we finally get appointed bureaucrats and per capita taxation laws as well. I honestly get a bit lucky with the dice rolls here, and I passed the last 2 laws in under a year, giving me tons of money, as well as finishing one of the required reforms. Once the Russians have had enough, we give Britain their treaty port, and we steal money and Georgia from the pesky Ruski. Sadly, a bug in the mod means that I don't get the entirety of the Caucasus like I thought I was going to, and instead only get a tiny split state. But it's okay, the mod creator says they fixed the bug just for me in future patches. After a few more years of slow building up, I eventually pass colonial exploitation, despite my rural folk threatening complete revolution. This will be really useful to expand into Central Africa once Egypt is fully conquered later on. Speaking of, I think it's time to finish off that little pesky splinter state. Since Egypt lost all those territories last time, they've also lost a bunch of prestige and have finally fallen to an unrecognized regional power, which lets me puppet them straight out, rather than having to take all their states one by one. Of course, they see the wisdom of joining the better empire, and they back down without even so much as a fight. This finishes yet another mission to reclaim Egypt, and once I finish the central archives tech and get the next production method for my government buildings, I can finish the bureaucracy one as well. We eventually do pass free trade at this point, as our capitalists start to grow in pretty big number, making it more profitable to exploit them rather than our aristocrats. They can finally sit on their Ottomans and relax. After finishing off my last barracks, we fully complete the Sick Man of Europe event and end up with a bunch of claims in the Balkans. I then do the very rational and sensible thing of taking Greece in a quick war, followed by another one to take Serbia and Wallachia. Austria, however, thinks this is the perfect time to pounce on me, but little do they know, I have an obligation from France due to accepting a defensive pact ages ago. So they join me and we wipe the floor with them. It happened so quick, I didn't even get footage of the damn thing. Turns out that Austria was sitting on some claims of mine, so I make them give it back to me, giving me some really terrible border gore. We then somehow managed to ban the big ol' nasty S-word law so that my people can finally be free to go work in the furniture factories, which, by the way, we now start building in earnest, as well as a few wars to quickly finish annexing Egypt, which is over in about a minute, and also puppet Persia, which is, by the way, properly called Keha in this mod. Once I've expanded my market and got access to Africa, I can finally start really churning out those furniture factories. While expanding my borders to give my military something to do and, tidy up the borders a little bit, everyone toils in the factories making chairs, and I embiggen my navy so as to get more prestige and some tasty power projection. Sadly, this seems to really piss off my old enemies Austria and Russia, who jointly try it on. The thing is, I've taken so much infamy from my recent conquests that I can only really demand boring old money from them. It gets a little bit hairy for a while, but repeating the old naval invasion trick into St. Petersburg, I managed to knock Russia out of the way, allowing me to fight Austria to a standstill and finally piece them out. All the while, I've been building endless furniture factories, forcing all of my people to work building expensive, presumably gilded chairs. I eventually finally hit the number 2 luxury furniture producer, just behind my sworn enemy France. But it's just not good enough. I need that number 1. I even managed to actually hit number 1 great power first, just after unlocking ironclads. Though, admittedly, it's probably because Great Britain got stuck in an endless civil war, knocking them to 6th place. Until, finally, after many years of construction, military buildup, and colonization to get access to more and more wood, I achieve my goal. Number 1 producer and exporter of luxury furniture. From Brittany to St. Petersburg, everyone is resting their feet on my Ottoman Ottomans. You will probably by now have realized that this whole video was actually just a trick to get you to experience the Ottoman journey to number 1 great power, as becoming the biggest creator of furniture is actually surprisingly easy, especially if the UK just sort of collapses. But that was by intention. I lured you in with the promise of chairs, but actually showed you the incredible potential of the Ottomans and just how powerful they can truly be. You came for the Ottomans, but you stayed for the Ottomans. Thank you so much for watching. If you have liked the video, you should stay on the theme and like it down below. And please also let me know in the comment section what you think of this new style of video making. It's got less camera, but it took longer to make than my other videos, so I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do also let me know any other ideas for challenges you have. This idea actually came directly from a comment on a previous video, so thanks Steph Van Dronen. I was Aldrahill, and I will continue to be. I hope to see you in the very next video, and I hope you're sitting really comfortably on your Ottoman chair at home. Bye bye.